Welcome, Carm Capriato, the Service Aftermarkets podcast pioneer with the gold standard of aftermarket business podcasts. Join me for Aftermarket Insights as we advance the aftermarket. And as always, know that you'll learn just one thing. Find us on your favorite podcast listening app and remarkableresults.biz or on my YouTube channel. Hey everybody, Carm Capriato, another CarmCast from Remarkable Results Radio. Yeah, isn't it interesting? Carm Capriato, CarmCast. I don't know who came up with that a long time ago. But this is CarmCast are really kind of special. They're off the beaten path, and this one was really important to do. And as you can see, I have a hell of a panel with me. But I got my Brakes for Breast shirt on. I don't know if everyone can see that. You see
Nice,
that?
yay!
Love it.
Yes, and by the way, in this panel, I know we're talking about customer service training for your CSRs. I happen to have the co-founders of Brakes for Breast on, and God, we just love that program. October of this year, you can still get involved. BrakesForBreast.com. It's for the great cause at the Cleveland Clinic for vaccine research for triple negative breast cancer. We've been there to the check presentation, I think 3 years now. It is an emotional moment to see the check passed, 1.8 million earned so far. It is an amazing. And Leanne, every time I would have you or Laura on there, I always say, what a brilliant move all those years ago to do this. And thank you to all the shops that participate. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot listening to this. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Carm, for your support over the years, because it's all of you that make Brakes for Breast.
Yeah, because they don't take a dime. Every dime that's raised goes to the Cleveland Clinic. So everything has been through the grace of your kindness and the industry's kindness too. So we're going to talk about service advisor training. And what's so cool, this group is coaches from Maverick shop owners, but they decided, hey, let's do something and get our butts out there somewhere in Detroit, I think, right? Where are you going?
Yeah, November 9th and 10th, just outside of Detroit, Michigan. We're going to have a 2-day live event teaching this, getting into the nuts and bolts of it.
Look at Jerry and Laura owned a shop, recently sold, but God, where did you cut your teeth? You cut it both probably in the bays and on the counter. Same with Leanne and Bill. And there's nothing like having the training that's coming directly from, if you will, the front lines or from live environments because of your great experience. I believe that customer service training is one of the most critical and most important that any shop could have today. I've been doing this for 9.5 years and always feeling the movement and the trend in the industry. If there was one unsung area that needed improvement, it was, I believe, at our counters and in the quality hires that we have and the communications and in the culture. And I'm sure you cover all of that positively in this training. And so it's a multi-day event. And I am sure this is my recommendation. I got this wild recommendation, and tell me I'm wrong, everyone, that if I'm a shop owner and I'm going to send my customer service rep to training, and they're going to come back from Leanne and Bill and Laura and Jerry's training, and they're going to start doing things that they say, oh my God, this was great. I can't believe I got to do this. And then the owner says, hey, we don't do that kind of stuff here. No, that's a little on the edge. And if the owner doesn't go and participate in the same training that their CSR does, is the value there, the money that you spent. I think the owners have to get as immersed in the training and in a culture shift than a CSR does. Right or wrong, guys?
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're not wrong, Carm. You're absolutely on point.
All right. So we got to get owners and CSRs. What an incredible trip. Get up to Detroit, spend time with the CSR, hang out with other people, your peers, and walk away and turn that front counter of yours, up a notch from 5 to 10.
And that's the thing when you come to a live event, the networking that takes place, right? You realize I'm not on this island alone. There's other people experiencing some of the same things that you are. So we really believe that the team, the service advisor, the CSR, the owner, anybody that's going to be on the front counter to attend, to make it a cohesive learning experience, and it'll make everything they learn more powerful and move the shop to greater heights faster.
This team has over 100 years of experience.
Boy,
Oh,
does that make
thanks,
you sound
Carm.
old.
Can't
Yeah.
believe that.
Yeah.
I just can't believe that. Well, if I add my time in there, there's 140. But
That's a lot.
but you are probably the best. I love the idea that you guys, Jerry and Laura, God bless you, that you got a chance to succeed and sell and really focus on this a lot. And Leanne and Bill, you're still working every day, backlogged a week. But I've been to your place and it is a huge, phenomenal, fabulous. The culture is like, on steroids there. What
Thank you.
to learn from than you. So this seems like it's a good to great kind of seminar, and I'm excited. Let's talk about it.
One of the things, I love that term good to great, because you had mentioned we've been in the industries really since the Stone Age. Boy, does that sound bad. But,
Speak for yourself.
we didn't figure
Yeah.
it out from the beginning. It took years to develop some of these processes and some of these systems. And I'm always kind of known as a numbers guy. So I want to do some simple math with everybody. So you don't even need a calculator for this, just maybe a piece of paper. You can work the numbers in your head. Let's just say your labor rate is really low, $100 an hour. I'm doing this so the math is simple. You got a tech that's working there 40 hours a week. He's 100% productive. That means you should be, or you better be, generating $4,000 in labor sales. Throw in the parts side of that, dollar for labor. Every dollar we sell in labor, we're going to sell a dollar in parts. Hopefully everybody's following me. So that's $8,000 a week worth of revenue per tech. Multiply that times how many bays you've got, and that's kind of where you should be at in sales. That's what you're capable of. And again, these numbers are low because if anybody's at $100 an hour, watch out. And when you do that math, you're going to realize, for most of the people listening, I'm not there yet. Why? And here's the thing. I love this quote. I wrote it down so I don't mess it up. It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so. And that's Mark Twain. So many times we think the problem is car count, or we think the problem is that lazy technician that just can't get the work out. Really, that's kind of what we're going to learn a lot in this seminar, is to take a different perspective. If it's car count, we're going to give you some strategies to fix it. If it's sales, we'll give you some strategies to raise that average repair order, and no hard selling. You just you can't get the work out the door. We'll talk about ways to improve that as well.
Well, you talk about like learning curve, right? And so we had a Shell gas station and then moved to our repair facility in Brook Park. And we had to learn everything, right? Because we had a branded national name on our gas station. So we had to learn our marketing. It was just me and Jerry and some technicians. We had this big learning curve, hiring a service advisor, hiring somebody at the front desk, getting our bays productive, right? We kept wanting to add on because we only had 3 bays and we wanted more bays. And our accountant kept saying, you have to wait, and so we had this learning curve of years to perfect what we did. And then we were able to open up a shop in another city in the area. And within a year, we had that up and running because we had all these systems and everything in place. So talk about, the learning curve, getting everything in place, and then being able to just accelerate, right? Once you know everything. Not that I know everything, but, once you have your processes in place.
Yeah. And Bill, please share the story about our technician turned service advisor, because I think that's another great example of what Laura's saying.
So we had a service advisor that had a serious problem with carpal tunnel in both of his hands. Had him operated on twice. His doctor finally told him, listen, you need to change field. You can't be a technician anymore. You're going to continue to have this problem. He came to us and said, do you think I could become a service advisor? And I said, of course. And we're always going to encourage our employees to get better at everything that they do, because that's what we do. His first month, his average ticket sale was right around, I think it was $278 or $288, just by following the systems and the procedures that we set up and how we go about informing our customers, educating them, and contacting them. His average ticket went up by almost $250 just in the first 60 days. And just to give you a number, in July, his average ticket was $819. And it was from someone who had no sales experience. All he did was follow the plan, follow the procedures, everything that we recommend that he does. He has access to all of the training that we've always done. And he tells me, I still watch it. When I feel like I get stuck a little bit, I go back and I watch the episodes, and it just helps me go right through it. So the proof is in the pudding. And that's just not just our shop, but that's all the shops that we've done this with before.
I love where you're going with this initial discussion in this episode. You basically said there's a science kind of behind this, but it's not rigid science. There's emotion to it. There's people, there's relationships, there's caring, but it's a little bit of science. And what Jerry said about the Mark Twain quote, beautiful quote, Jerry. Here's what I wrote down, because I'm always this individual who hears something and then I interpret it to me. How could I best relate to that? And I wrote down, verify what I don't know to be true.
Yes.
And when you go to a seminar, and I'm a seminar goer, I have been my whole life. I'm a perpetual student. I want to learn all the time. A lot of times you crash through the barriers of the focus you have that's generating X kind of results. You're semi-happy with that, but you really don't know what you can get. To your point, Bill, about going from 278 to another 200 up to 800, and just through ethics and honesty and transparency and all of that. Because as we know, these vehicles that are on the road that are coming in our shops that are our customers, they need work.
There's no shortage of work out there. There's no shortage of work. You can find more
Right.
work than you know what to do with, right? Our shop is a perfect example of that. We're booked out for a week to a week and a half, and we're never down any time. We never have people standing around doing nothing, and that's basically because of how we do business. We're very transparent, as I think that's a word that's overused a lot these days, but it's a good focus word. Transparency is what we are. And listen, we don't teach our people to sell. We just teach them to educate. And we have a certain amount of scripting going on. So we want to make sure that that they're saying the right things and they're not getting the customer confused. But I think the biggest part of it is, as you said earlier, all these vehicles need work, and there are more shops closing up every day. It's amazing to me how many small shops are closing up, the mom and pop shops, because they can't afford to be in the business because it's an expensive business to be in.
Can I piggyback on that real quick? Being in this industry for a long time, I remember what I used to look for in a service advisor. I used to look for somebody that was really excel in sales, a superstar. And imagine, and what comes to my mind now is that maybe that car salesman, that Danny DeVito in used cars, somebody that just had the gift of gab and they were able to persuade somebody to purchase. And what ended up happening is, yes, we got great sales from it, but we ended up leaving sometimes with customers that were less satisfied, or, buyer's remorse. They felt like they were sold. Today, the great thing with the industry and the transparency, using digital inspections, be able to show all of that to the customer and the way you present it, I don't think there's any selling and sales anymore. And that's a great thing. Bill, you mentioned the story about your technician turned service advisor. We had the same situation where we had a gal at the front counter who had no sales experience at all. She was really our CSR. Kind of through necessity, we suddenly lost a service advisor. We had to put Karen in that position to help with the sales. And she really excelled, not because she knew a darn thing about a car or was that Danny DeVito like salesperson. It's all the points you touched on, Carm. Empathy, caring with your customer, being transparent, all of that. You just can't fake that. And those are the things that we kind of really hone in on in this training.
So a quick question to all of you. Maybe one of you have the answer to this. When I first started podcasting, people would come on the show and I would say, hey, where'd you find your most current, customer service rep at the counter? And they say, at a restaurant. He says, and I always carry cards when I go out and I'm affected by incredible customer service. I say, hey, would you like a job with no weekends?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll take that one. That is one of my favorite all-time stories. Our customer service representative, Skylar, is incredible. As a matter of fact, she's so incredible. I wish I had a copy of it with me, but she is the cover feature on Auto Service Leader magazine this month, and she is so much information about her in the magazine. She was a server at one of our restaurants that we frequented often. And her attention to detail was incredible. And her personality just shined. And Bill and I both kind of looked at each other and said, man, she would make a perfect customer service representative. And, hence another example. So I've been with Bill at Mighty Auto Pro over 20 years. And, we've had our share of customer service representatives. And I would say, bar none, Skylar is the best I've ever seen. And again, no experience, didn't know the first thing about automobiles or fixing cars or any of that. She just had the right personality. She had the right attention to detail. And with the systems and procedures very similar to the technician turned service advisor, she was up and running almost to perfection within 6 months. I mean, she's incredible at what she does. And you'll all get to read about her in the magazine.
Bill and Leanne, you both touched on an important point. It's the person. Are they willing to learn? Are they the sponge or the rock? A technician is not a superstar salesperson. That's right. But
Right.
he was open and willing to learn. So he was the sponge, just like Sky was, or is, I should say.
Great
Absolutely.
lady. We've met her. What a bubbly piece of personality that she has. It's amazing. Hey, look, there's this great training, live service advisor training, going to happen November 9th through the 10th in Detroit area. Serviceadvisortraining.com is where you'll find out everything about it. You're looking at your 4 trainers right here in front of you. It'll be live and a lot of fun. You sent me some great talking points, and I don't think we can leave this podcast episode without talking about these myths and these challenges. The myth that I need more cars, that I have to hire superstars with a ton of experience. If you have, as you keep mentioning, policies and procedures and guides that bring all of that relationship together. Let's knock down a few of these myths. Who wants to start?
I'll start with the car count. So I did a little bit of investigating just for this purpose. Back in 2013, I did 5,000 vehicles for the year, and I did 1,655,000. This year, for the first 6 months, with less than 2,000 vehicles, I'm already at 1,692,000. So you don't need more cars. You just need to do a better job of what you have. And that comes with making sure that your staff is trained properly and how to present it to the customer. It really starts with the person answering the phone, which is Skylar. And just as a piggyback to the meeting that's going to be happening in November, we plan on having Skylar there. So any questions that needed to be addressed, she'll be there to answer them because she wants to be a part of this.
I love that.
Absolutely. Do more with less.
Wow, that's a great surprise. That's the first time I've heard that.
Yeah, I'm
So
excited.
that's an added bonus. It puts a big smile on my face to actually, hear from somebody that's actually doing it every day. Nobody better to learn from. One of the things that I think about as a myth too is, and it happens through everything, the word is price. That's too expensive, or when you get that price shopper call, so many times we go down that negative path. Listen, everybody cares about price. Price is one of those things that, everybody wants the best price, but they also want the best value. We share a lot of different ways to overcome those price shoppers on the phone with, I'm going to say scripts, Carm, but you had a new word for that. What was it?
Guide.
Guides.
Mhm.
So you walk out with some guides on how to convert those pesky price shoppers into actual customers, because not everybody is just looking for the cheapest price. And, Bill and Leanne and Skylar are proof of that. So a few proven ways to be able to get over that hurdle, not only on the incoming phone call, but also in the sales process. And it's not just for, I don't want to think, if I don't have a customer service rep, this is not for me, right? Because not every shop has that. If you have customers walking in your door and you have to, address them and offer customer service, you got somebody on the front counter, you need to be there. So don't discount, if I don't got a CSR, it's not for me.
Yeah, let's clear up that right now, because the service advisor is the individual who's really going to put the estimate together. I mean, Bill, in your place, they sit in a separate area, and Skylar's up front, and Skylar is your customer service rep. Let's really define this, because this class is for both.
It is. It's about building relationships with customers. It's going to be about presentation, how to present to the customer what is wrong with their vehicle, why they need to fix it. How I always look at when I discuss this with my sales staff, I said, we don't sell air conditioning, we sell cold air. We don't sell batteries. We sell that your vehicle is going to start tomorrow morning when you need it to go to work. The part about that is making sure that we educate the client as to what they need. But having a service advisor or someone at the front counter, what they're going to get from this is how to address the customer, how to make them feel warm and comfortable and welcome. And there's a whole other part of this, right? We're just talking about everything that begins at the beginning. It starts at the beginning. But what about when the customer leaves the door? Does it stop there? Absolutely not. It does not stop there. There's another whole facet to other things that we're going to teach that will make that customer want to come back to visit you.
And you guys are masters at that. Oh my
Well-
God, the follow-ups, it's incredible how you guys do it.
Yeah. And Carm, to your point of who should go, I know Laura and I over the years have done a lot of phone training. And along with that phone training comes mystery calls. And honestly, when we play those calls for the shop owner, the number one excuse we hear is, well, that's not who normally answers the phone. So who is this for? Anybody in your shop that answers the phone.
Absolutely. Or is at the front counter,
Yes.
interacts with the customer.
I recently was at an event here in Buffalo that did a surprise, mystery shopper call. And the owner was in the room with all of his local peers in their peer group. And it was the worst. Successful shop owner, 30 years, beautiful place. I mean, unbelievable. The two worst calls he could have ever been embarrassed about at the counter from two pretty much established people. Wow. I so encourage that.
And that's exactly what we're talking about. Anybody who's going to pick the phone up should be trained on how to answer it and what they need to do next once they answer the phone. And that's what Leanne and Laura do best, right? They train those people on how to answer the phone and how to get those customers in the door. I don't know what the number is for us, but I would bet that our phone closure rate is probably well over 85 to 90%.
Last we looked, it was about 91%. So
That's amazing.
and it's not hard. That's the thing. It's really not hard. So
Let's go back.
You're getting
to that.
stats from a computer, that's giving you the data back?
well, I mean, that does take a little more effort because what we're looking at is how many opportunity calls. So in other words, it's not a parts store. It's a legit customer calling in to book an appointment, come in and spend some money. So how many opportunity calls do we convert into a customer? In other words, they show up in the shop with their car. So does that take a little bit of manual tracking? Absolutely. But it's not that hard. We just have a little tally sheet next to our computer. And if it's an opportunity call, you get a
Wow.
tick. Do they come in? Yes, they do. So, and typically, Carm, the easiest math for us is in most cases, we're getting them in the same day. So it's easy. Like we talked to them at 7, here they are at 8. So
We have a new sponsor coming on for the Craig O'Neill show, Inbound. And not only do they have the VoIP phone system, they have all the data called up. It basically gives this to you in spreadsheets, dashboards.
Oh.
That's
I was-
awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I was so impressed with it that you can, quickly just go there. And again, to your point, Leanne, and I think we can't get away from the opportunity call because, yeah, a lot of calls come into our company, but those are put over here on the shelf for whatever right reasons. But when the opportunity calls come in, those are the ones that get rated. And I was so darn impressed with that. But anyway, so there's not only can you do this on your own and listen to recorded calls and try to figure it all out and help and guide, there's some brainiac stuff out there to help you.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can't wait to hear about that.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
was thinking about what we said in the beginning, right? The quote by Mark Twain. It's not, well, I got it written down here. It ain't what you don't know that gets you into trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so. So I'm going to go back and I just want to piggyback on that whole phone call conversation, right? The call that took place, that here's the shop owner in that seminar that may be struggling for car count. And he's out there spending more and more money on marketing. I need to do Google ads. I need to, invest more in direct mail, social media marketing, everything like that. And comes to find out that it's not a marketing problem. I really have a phone answering problem. The person at the counter is not converting. So that's just an example of what you think you know for sure that just ain't so.
Yeah. To your point, and I'm sorry, I'm taking all of my brain things that are going on because I'm listening to you guys and I'm loving this conversation. To your point, the Mark Twain quote that I turned into verify what I know to be true. We all have, if we're successful to the point that we are and we're at in life, our intuition was one of the elements that got us where we are today. And so you're listening to your people, the phones are ringing, and you're walking around, you're managing by walking around in your business, and you're hearing things. Verify what I know to be true. I know that we need some training here for this service advisor, for this customer service rep. And in your bones, you have no idea. You think you can't seem to verify. Well, there's software out there to do it. There's, if you will, the close rate that you find from opportunity calls and all of this. Oh, that's a lot of hard work. Can I get help to do it? And the answers are yes. But if you think you have a problem, you probably have a problem. That's my point.
Absolutely.
I would agree with that. And one of the things I think, Carm, that we hope that the reason we want the owners to be in the audience is so many times owners get stuck in the way that we used to do things, right? And what they have to understand is how everything has changed. With equipment, we have to buy new equipment to keep up with the new vehicles. We have to offer better trainings for our staff, like our technicians, to be able to have the knowledge to repair the newer vehicles. Why, as an owner, should we think that we can still run our business the way we did 10, even 12 years ago, even 5 years? The business changes so fast and so rapidly. And the great thing about that is Jerry, Laura, and Leanne and myself, we're not the kind of people that stick our head in the sand. We are constantly learning. Leanne and I keep track of our hours every month of how many continuing education hours that we have, because it's important for us to always be on the cutting edge and know what's right around the corner.
I love his shop. We've done the tours, and there's the public sheet of all the training that everybody's getting, including Leanne and Bill. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. So, okay, let's talk about some challenges. The service advisor just won't listen to me.
Yeah, and I almost feel like sometimes that's a leadership, but I want to maybe kind of talk about parenting a little bit. How many times have you told your children or suggested, shared some wisdom with them, and they just don't want to hear it? They put their hands up, and all of a sudden they hear it from somebody else, and the light bulb goes off, and they say, "Mom, Dad, guess what I just heard?" And I've been telling you for years to do that or embrace that principle. So, often what ends up happening is, us as business owners, we go to the training, we go to the seminars. How often do your employees get to go, your service advisor, customer service people go and kind of get to mingle and brainstorm and mastermind with other, with their peers? And I think, sometimes that's what we hope to do. We want that light bulb to go off.
So if I'm an owner and I have my service advisor or my customer service rep with me, and I go to the class in Detroit, November 9th through the 10th, serviceadvisortraining.com, and I'm sitting there. And if you're hearing things from our trainers, Leanne, Bill, Laura, and Jerry, you're hearing it. Don't lean over to your person and say, "See, I told you so." You shouldn't do that.
That's your wife.
You should just sit back. You should smile. You should write it down in the workbook or make a little point. And then when you're doing your summary, it says, "Did you learn anything new?" No. Oh, so all the things that I've been talking to you over the last 2 years, we're putting some glue on that, aren't we? Isn't that cool? I think throwing new knowledge in people's faces that you've been trying to get them to do is the wrong way to approach it. And I think years ago, I always said, I have a buddy from Rochester, a good friend. And if he could only just come to one of my meetings with a briefcase in his hand, put it on a table, stand in front of the people and tell them the things that I was going to tell them, he would be the expert, not me. And so go to this class and let Leanne, Bill, and Laura and Jerry be the experts.
Yeah. And so much of it is, really what I've learned is how we evolved when we first started in business. I think, and almost everybody does, you know it all, and it's my way or the highway. When you say, I just can't get my service advisor, my people to do what I want to do. And then as time goes on, I've studied a lot about leadership and communication skills, because it's not my way or the highway. Look, we know these, technicians and service advisors and all of that. The workforce today is slim. You got to hang on to the people. And so many times when we would sit down with maybe a prospective technician, they were leaving where they were at. It wasn't because of money. It's because they had a lousy boss. They
Yep.
didn't feel appreciated the way they were communicated with. So these are skills that you can learn. but it takes a little bit of thought first before you open your mouth, right? The good Lord gave us two ears to listen. So I believe leadership is a learned skill. I don't believe there are born leaders. It's the people that learn the proper skills to be able to communicate with people.
And it's not easy. It's not easy to be a great leader. It just isn't. And there's a lot of pitfalls that happen, but you got to pick yourself right back up and stay at it. Let's cover the issue of I'm too busy to train my people. We just can't shut down. I can't let anyone leave. The argument, first of all, I think that is one of the weakest excuses ever.
Yeah.
And you all help corroborate the challenge that you say, oh, okay. Anybody ever call in sick? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody ever go on vacation? Yeah. How does the business survive? Do you know that your doctor goes to conferences and has to go to training? But you never know that he does because his schedule is determined by when he will be there and when he won't be there. And so if you're going to schedule light because we know in November we're going to go to this sales training, then the business accommodates the lack of people. And every time I've heard a story like this is what we've done, we've made this commitment to go to training, what happened with your revenue? They always say this, we never missed a beat. In fact, we were up
Yep.
post-training. Can you help me corroborate that?
Absolutely.
I was thinking about, I heard specifically, Bill, you talk about your service advisor came from a technician role, and Leanne, you talked about Skylar, and you talked about, I had them up and running in 6 months, right? So there's some time investment in those people to get those unbelievable results. How many times does an owner go in and hire a service advisor on a Friday evening and he's at the front counter selling on Monday? It's not just plug and play. It takes a little bit of time. And if you don't have the time to train them, we will.
Right. And I've never understood coming from outside this industry how to piggyback on what Jerry's saying, we would never, as a shop owner, take a person off the street and put him in front of a car and say, change the timing belt. So why do we do that with every other position? Why do we do that with our customer service reps and our service advisors? We expect technicians to come in as trained individuals knowing how to do these things, yet we kind of dismiss that same thought process when it comes to the CSRs and the service advisors.
And you're going to have to take time to train in the shop. Leah, and you're saying we just throw people out there, but when you do that, you're setting your people up to fail, right?
Absolutely.
And as leaders and owners, we need to set them up to succeed. And so you can't not take time to train.
I have another language shift, Jerry. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, it's very
Lay it on it.
important.
All right, here it is. Jerry
We-
said
one day our job as
unbelievable
owners-
results. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bill.
I was
I'm
just
sorry.
saying that what I feel like is so many times we learn something new and then we forget about it because we go back to the same old, what's easier, going back to the same old way. And as an owner, my responsibility is to train my staff and encourage them to get better at what they do. Make sure that they're doing the things they're supposed to do. And if you can't do that, we can help you with teaching you how to do that.
That's a great point. Great point. My language shift again. I come up with another one, Jerry, after you said unbelievable results. We should change that to remarkable results.
Remarkable.
Yes.
I thought of that as you were saying that.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. I just had to do this. Well, look,
it was great.
so what's the motivation for you guys to get together, go to dinner one night and say, it was last year that you did your first one, and now you're coming back stronger than ever to do the serviceadvisortraining.com. What was your motivation? You guys are coaches. You see the clients struggling and you say, listen, this is more important than ever. This is the spark that's going to ignite many businesses.
Yeah, exactly. Bill and I, as coaches, we're on the phone with auto repair shops across the country, and they all seem to have the same challenges. But I want to say, I always said sales fixes almost everything. And I believe that, when there's money in the bank account, you've got consistent money, satisfied customers coming in, all of that, this business gets so much easier. And I've learned that the hard way. So we saw so many people just, kind of struggling and really, like I say, not really knowing what to do. the definition of insanity, keep doing the same thing again and expecting different results. And I feel like so many times that's where a shop owner's stuck. If you're not happy where you're at, or sometimes we even get complacent. I don't even want to say happy. You don't know what you don't know. Do that math exercise that I talked about at the beginning of the show. See where you're at, and let's see if we can't improve that.
I think for all of us, we genuinely love watching others succeed. I mean, there's just no greater feeling. And I think, we've been blessed to have had great people and mentors in our lives. And I think we just want to pass that on. And believe me, when I look at, Skylar started as our server at a local restaurant. And today she's featured on Auto Service Leader magazine as the cover girl. I mean, wow. That's just helping others succeed is just such a great feeling.
There's a
Agreed,
certain
Leanne. And the other thing is too that we see people, sometimes there's so much they don't know where to start. They
Mhm.
don't know how to start training their people, what they should do first, and it gets confusing. And so then they just don't do anything because they're paralyzed with uncertainty. So we can help break that out into segments and work with them to teach what needs to be taught so the people can learn, and the owner is not like paralyzed by fear, right? They're like, oh yeah, okay, we can do this first and we can do that
Mhm.
next, and give them a guide, Carm, to use your word, or a plan, right? So they can move forward and get things moving and get their people trained where they need to be.
I love it where you're going. Let's just kind of wrap this up. And one of the thoughts that I had when you were talking about sales fixes everything, Jerry, I always think about profit first. And Mike McColowitz's book, and there's so many people in our industry that are doing it, have all these separate accounts. And at the end of the month, you've got this operating account with X amount of money left, and that's where you're supposed to pay all your bills because you've put your money for government and taxes and owner draw away. Okay, I got to pay the bills out of the operating account, and I can't. And that starts showing the weakness because in so many places they're spending cash that really was allocated for other things. And the principle of the book is this: well, if you can't pay all your bills, there's only three things that it could be. Your costs are out of whack because you have too many costs for the gross profit margin, number two, that you need to earn. But sales, to your point, Jerry, is it. And when you think, well, the phone's ringing, we're doing marketing, we're on Facebook, we got a great website, I'm doing CRM, but yet I'm running out of money.
Yeah.
And so if the sales helps fixes everything and the opportunities there, the phone is ringing, how many of those opportunities are really turning into, again, the word goes back to opportunity for the shop. And it's the talent, it's the ability, it's the training. I'm sorry, you have a talented technician, technology specialist in the back, they're reading, they're studying service bulletins, they're in a network, they're constantly improving themselves. Are we doing that at our counters, both service advisor or customer service reps? And I think we're on fire as an industry to do this, which is, I think, why you guys felt we got to do this. Serviceadvisortraining.com. I love it.
Yep. So it's a 2-day event, again, November 9th and 10th, Saturday, Sunday. So you can keep your people at work on that Monday through Friday. And I know I just wanted to mention really briefly that there is a limited number of seats. So I know when we present this to our Maverick members, they're going to scoop up a lot of those seats just like they did last year. So if you're hearing this, please jump over to serviceadvisortraining.com, check it out. If you feel it's a fit, order your tickets before you're shut out.
Perfect. Anybody have a last word for this at all? But listen, not only was this, if we were focusing on this great training that you're providing, but I think there's an awful lot of great takeaways here that people can learn from too. So thank you for coming and sharing all your great wisdom. Leanne, anything else?
I just think it's a fabulous opportunity for the shop owners and their team, and we hope to see everybody there.
Thank you, Bill.
I would say that one of the things that I enjoy most is watching my people grow, watching them do the things that we recommend that they do, the things that we teach, how we want them done. And Skylar and Michael are perfect examples of what you can do if you just give them the right guidance. And it makes me very proud to see that picture of Sky on the front of that magazine, because I know that without our teaching, or without Leanne's teaching and my teaching, she would not be there. But she grasped it and just ran with it. And now she's a sponge. We have to slow her down sometimes.
Yeah, she's a fun and a great lady. I think the operative word there was teaching. Interesting. Laura?
I'll tag on to the teaching part. So there's 4 of us, right? We all have different skills. We bring different personalities. And so everybody doesn't learn from the same person. And so there's a lot of opportunity for everybody who's coming to the room. They're all going to find different things they need to fix or different needs, right? Everybody's not going to have the same need. And everybody's not going to learn what they need to learn from the same person. So there's a variety there. So I'm excited to see everyone and meet everybody and help people grow to the next level from good to great.
That's a great point. I love the idea.
Yeah.
4 different voices, faces, personalities. If you can't learn from these 4, you're never going to learn. Jerry,
They don't
final
call me-
word.
They don't call me Grumpy Bill for nothing.
When you were talking about the wonderful book Profit First by Mike Michalowicz, when you talked about sales as being a component of that, I remember a quote from Brian Tracy years ago in some of the books I've read and stuff, and he said, timid salespeople have skinny kids. Now, I don't want to say timid salespeople, but I'm going to say untrained salespeople leave owners with skinny kids. So again, it just popped into my mind, but we really look forward to seeing everybody, sharing those 100 years of wisdom with everybody. And I want to thank you, Carm, very much for having us on today.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I had a blast. 4 of my favorite people. This is important. There's no fluff here in this episode. Not at all. It was all good stuff. So thank you all for being here.
Thanks for
Thank
Thank you,
having us.
Carm.
Having us.